You have to be comfortable being misunderstood. I have like 8 impossible ideas before breakfast every day. I've got 45 different things I want to do. That's just my nature. But I know that you can't shock the ecosystem with too much change too fast. So he calls me and he tells me he has terminal brain cancer, but he wants me to come into his firm and take over his role as designing all the buildings. Oh, crap. I'm having a really great time doing what I'm doing, but I have to explore this opportunity. I shoot first, aim second. I just go for it and then, figure out if this is for me or not. You always regret things that you don't do more than things that you do. If you could imagine a world where everyone was doing exactly what they were meant to do, could you imagine the joy, the peace, the amount of amazing things that would get done?
Welcome to the Unconventional Leadership Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential as a leader. Hey, can I ask you a favor? Can you please hit subscribe or follow on any platform that you're listening or watching this episode? Our goal is to connect with you, to bring additional value to you, to bring additional topics to you, and we can do that more effectively if you hit subscribe or follow. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining this week's episode of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. We have the distinct pleasure today to be here with the CEO of Emboss Design, Emma Adkisson. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is my pleasure.
So Emma, you and I don't know, we've probably known each other for 2.5 years or so. We met through some of our outdoor adventure friends, the work at Cora, the work with mountain biking and cycling, and some of those guests that we've had on in previous episodes, our mutual friends. One of the reason why I invited you to join us here in season 3 is you're clearly an unconventional leader who I admire, who inspires me. I do watch a lot of those LinkedIn videos that you post, and a lot of your leadership journey, and just the story overall of what you're doing with your organization and where you're going with your organization, and even what led you to leading your organization is quite unconventional. So I'm looking forward to highlighting that today.
Very unconventional. That's just right. How I like it.
That's right. So share with me a little bit about why you do what you do. What drives you, what motivates you, both intrinsically, personal, professional. Give us a little bit of highlight there.
Yeah, I think the biggest motivator, if you were to distill my motivators down, is to spread joy. And it just so happens that architecture and interior design and leading a firm that does that is my special sauce and my talent. I'm so lucky that I get to change the built environment and build buildings that impact thousands of people. Like, it's such an honor to be able to do that. And I think it's just, not only does my business get to change the world, but all the different organizations that we work with are doing really important work. And that drives the entire team.
That's awesome. And at what point in your career did you say, this is what I really want to be doing? How long did it take you to get to a place where you can say, I really want to bring joy to the world?
I think it's just always been who I am. Okay. I think my name, Emma, means to bring joy, actually. Okay. So I think my parents had some foreshadowing in that regard. And I've always been wanting to be the boss.
Yeah.
I've always been a leader. I had 2 little brothers.
Is that where you got Emboss?
If it sticks, it sticks.
That's great.
Yeah. I've always been a leader. I've always felt like I've seen a different way to do things than the way things have been done in different organizations or sports teams or just anywhere. And I always can distill a system and a process down to its most essential parts that make the most meaning and impact. I've always been a designer. So from drawing floor plans as a child to designing forts in the woods to designing buildings to now designing a lifestyle, and designing a team and designing a business. So there's alchemy in everything, where every single thing that is in the world was sparked from an idea.
Yeah.
And then we bring it to life through blood, sweat, and tears.
So in your path, where has that created tension, whether it be negative tension, positive tension? you may run into tension quite often as an unconventional leader.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you have to be comfortable being misunderstood. I am so driven and have my eye on something I want to achieve that I often can't see anything else. And that makes parenting really interesting. It makes being married really interesting. It makes slowing down and looking at other things that are around a bit of a challenge because I just get so hyper-focused on creating the result. It's part of my secret sauce, but it has some negative impacts.
Yeah. How does that show up? What does the negative impact feel, or how does it expose itself? Where have you experienced it?
Well, I think what I realized that, in my mid 40s now is that drive and that like consistent pressure that I put on myself can steer me down a path towards looking at burnout. Whereas I have to say, yes, I could do those 10 other things right now, but what I really need is a walk in the woods to reset and calm down. And I'm so used to pushing that at times my body has said, time out, we need rest. And you know how they say, if you don't pick a day to rest, your body will pick it for you.
Yeah.
That happens quite a bit. And I've realized I will never be a person that picks the rest day. My body's going to pick it, and then we're just going to clean up the pieces afterward.
Yeah,
I know that's terrible.
I remember I had, years ago, I had a sales coach when I was pretty young in my career. Her name's Pam Beek, and she called that out in me. She was like, she actually almost profiled me, right? She was like, I bet you're the one that never stops until you get sick one time in the fall or in the summer or in the spring, and then you're just down for the count for 2 days. And I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much right. I don't get sick a lot. So when it happens, I take it as a sign of like, I knew I was getting to the point of exhaustion. There was so much going on mentally. It's almost like the mental impact causes the physical reaction.
Oh, yeah.
And your body just shuts down.
100%. Yeah. I think as an entrepreneur, we don't realize the state of hypervigilance that our nervous system is under at all times.
At all times.
Trying to create control within the business, keep the clients happy, keep the team happy. And it's just such a low hum that you don't realize it's there until you do realize that it's there because your body sends you very strong signals.
Yeah.
Recently, my body had to send me very strong messages over and over and over until I finally listened that I needed to rest because I'm so used to driving and pushing that I had to listen to her wisdom.
Have you built any rhythms to add in some type of rest into your quarterly cadence, monthly cadence, weekly cadence, et cetera?
I want to say yes, Mike.
But we can't yet.
I still haven't learned my lesson. I am still very much in progress in that, I let my body pick the time when it needs to rest, and it's always inconvenient. Yeah. But when she says rest, then I do.
Then you do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have done, there's a couple things I want to mention on this. I had this weird moment of an organization I was a volunteer with that added retreats for the leaders, right? And it wasn't retreats for the leaders about what you were doing and the work you were doing. It was literally a retreat for the leader that they pretty much required you to bring a spouse, or they recommended you not come and wait till next year. And I went on that. It was at a beautiful resort, it's basically like an escape in Rome, Georgia, called Windshape. Happens to be owned by the Cathy family. But you don't necessarily know that until you get there and go, where in the world am I at? And they're like, oh, this is how the Cathy family rolls, right? That owns Chick-fil-A. And I recognized on that retreat that, like, why have I never taken a retreat for my relationship with the second most important person in my life, which is my wife, the first one being my Lord and Savior. And it was like, Amber, we should be working as hard in our relationship and marriage as we do with all of the executive retreats that could burn up all of our time and all of your time as a professional, right? And so we started doing that. We started putting in rhythms to where every year we do one or two, just the two of us, to like work on goals. And having 3 teenagers, we don't get out as much as we once did, but it's really nice to go have these kind of conversations. Then leading from that, I attended a retreat in Queens, New York called the Emotionally Healthy Leaders Retreat. And that was really helpful because, again, it wasn't what you typically do when you go to a conference and learn about the conference topic.
Mm-hmm.
It was really about you as the leader. How do we get healthy? Because the whole iceberg analogy is what they use. Like the stress you see above the ice, at the peak of the iceberg above the water, pales in comparison to what's really going on. And very rarely do we ever slow down to pay attention to what's under the water. And now, every fall, I go on a couple retreats just to kind of prepare, knowing that the holiday season for our business is a fairly peak season. I always joke the only seasonality of our organizations is that when teams go on vacation, usually our bucket gets really full.
Oh, yeah.
So right before the holiday, we're going to dump a huge strategic effort onto our partner who's going to manage this so that when we come back in first quarter, we can be off the ground running. Or we're getting ready to hit summer break. When we come into the fall, we need to be here. In order to do that, we need to hire a new CEO or need to bring in a new team, or we need to start a new global leadership development experience for our team. So vacation seasons get really busy for our team versus, we get to take a break. It's quite the opposite.
Right.
So you have to plan in kind of the off season. And I've learned that because, boy, I've really been down. I've had physical pain, physical issues that I know were caused by the stress and mental dynamics that were going on in my body and my brain. So just a note to self, think about retreats. We have a couple of them on our site. We have a couple partnerships, but we also know a lot of people who lead really great retreats, whether it's through our team or whether it's through other partners. And I told someone just Friday, I'm testing out a new facility in the fall and out in Montana. And you may have heard about it in a previous episode if you watched with Luke Dooley. And I'm excited about that because who knows where that could lead others to go check it out as well.
Yes, so, very cool.
Yeah, so very just a little bit of, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
we go really hard. So in leading the organization, you took the organization through a massive rebranding.
Mm-hmm.
You are a next generation CEO in the organization that had to probably reset team or bring new energy to the team for where you're going. What have you learned about that journey, aligning your existing team to your future vision?
Yeah. It's a work in progress. I have a phenomenal team of all A players, and everyone's intrinsically motivated, which is a beautiful thing. And I think that comes from creating the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And I like to think about it as, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's like my job as the leader is to create this ecosystem. Some might call it culture. I think of it as an ecosystem where everyone's basic needs are met. They're paid very well. They have a great working environment. They have the flexibility to take care of their families. And now I bring in the clients that help my team members make them feel like they're making a huge impact in their individual work. So we've got individual contributors that are a part of this bigger brand, Emboss, and our tagline is make a mark. And everybody on the team makes their own mark in that way. And it's a 45-year-old firm, and it's been an honor to take it over from the original founders. One passed away and one still was working part-time until last year, which has been phenomenal. And to have their support is amazing. It's been really, really cool to come into an organization that has the prowess and the reputation. And, half my team is still the OGs, right? 22 years and 25 years at the firm. And they've got, the same clients they've been working with for 20 years. Wow. And so we've got that reputation and we've got that institutional knowledge of the old guard. And we've brought in a lot of fresh young talent that has brought a new edge to what we do. Yeah. And so it's been really interesting to bring everybody along for the ride. And look, I have like 8 impossible ideas before breakfast every day. I've got 45 different things I want to do. That's just my nature. But I know that you can't shock the ecosystem with too much change too fast.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go into Twitter or X and just completely change a culture the way Elon tried to change a culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke about that a lot. So it's been very rewarding, but it has to be a slow change to not just change the reputation, but I think the type of buildings that we want to do now are a little bit different than what we've done in the past. We're creatives. We want to do beautiful, high design projects that also make a mark. And we've been able to do that with our clients.
Does the brand and the vision you set out lead those projects to you? Or are you proactively going out to seek those extra creative engagements? Or is it a little bit of both?
It's a lot of both.
Okay.
We are like 99.9% referral.
Okay.
And we get the oddball person that found us on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Those normally aren't good leads for what we do, but we're mostly referral. And so we will have people that have worked with a team, or maybe we did a small project for them and they see our responsiveness and our technical prowess. And then they see, they can actually also do very efficient, practical, environmentally friendly, and high design buildings. And that's what we want.
That's awesome.
So it's been very organic.
Are you looking for a place that you can create the content that helps market your brand? Or are you somebody who just needs a space that they can record a podcast, record talking head social content? You want to create a webinar, a course, or other content like that? Take a look at the Cincinnati Podcast Studio. We're a space built just for creators like you. Our studio here in downtown Cincinnati, located right next to all the hot restaurants in OTR, is set and ready for you. We can have up to 4 people in our studio. You can record long form, short form content. It looks awesome. The lights change colors. I mean, even there, hi, in the background. What's up there, guys? We have all the technical amenities to try and help you succeed at creating high quality content. We work on everything from subscriptions to create your own show. We do day rentals so you can create massive volumes of content and we'll just hand you all the footage. And we can even do things like limited time series where you can come in, record a bunch of episodes at one go, and then have that ready for a show to market your brand or your business. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a brand, or an author who's looking to market themselves with high quality video content, check out our website at CincinnatiPodcastStudio.com and schedule a tour today.
So succession planning. If you're open to it, I'd love to draw out a little bit of the story that's led you back, because if I'm saying this right, back to the organization you're now leading as CEO.
I was never there before. Yeah.
But there was a relationship of someone at the organization who called upon you to ask you to come in, which I think is a unique story. To say the least.
Yeah.
But a powerful one, because again, unconventional leaders are magnetic. Mm-hmm. Unconventional leaders are people who others are drawn to say, this is our belief. The conventional, it's the normal, right? It's the, a little bit of the bland. It's the vanilla. It's like, they don't even notice normal leaders because conventional leaders don't lead really well, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. It's why we have a brand around unconventional leadership. We want to create leaders who stand out, who make profound impact, and who make everyone in the world that they're interacting with personally and professionally better. That's part of our definition of unconventional leaders, who also take the time to unlock the human potential that are around them versus just utilize the talents they bring to their everyday work. So share, if you're open to it, a little bit about the story that led you to be leading the organization that you're with now.
Yeah, sure. How far back in time do I go? Well, I'm a 11th generation Kentuckian.
Okay.
I am going to land this plane. Third, maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th generation entrepreneur.
Okay.
We're not so sure. I know my dad and my grandpa ran a business, and I just thought, that's just what you do. You own your own business. Of course.
Yeah.
And it's only in the last few years that I realized that not everybody wants to own a business, which I don't understand that. It's the best thing in the world. So 2009, I was laid off from my job when I was living in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay.
I thought this was it. This is a firm I'm going to work for the rest of my life. Got laid off along with everybody else at the firm and said, I think I'll start my own firm. during a recession with a newborn. That seems like a really good idea.
Right. What else you gonna do?
I mean, what else am I going to do, right? I got nothing to lose. So I entered an international design competition, and we actually won for the design of a new school in Idaho. And that started my entrepreneurial journey. So I was out there for a few years, worked with some nonprofits and that school. And then we decided to move back to Kentucky when we were about to have our second daughter. So we moved back to Kentucky. I worked at a firm in Cincinnati for a little bit, and the goal was to learn Revit on the clock. Revit is a building information modeling program. So this led me to then go out on my own again, start my own firm again while living here. I did contract work for another architect, and I met Andrew Piascovi, who is the P and PCA Architecture, our firm's former name, at a Christmas party at the Hofbrauhaus. I was late. We were waiting on the babysitter. My parents were actually there, and they sat down next to Andrew and Leanne. And they said, hey, our daughter's an architect. She's coming. You guys should meet. So Andrew and I met, and we just kicked it off. And we started going to lunch once every couple of months. And he said, hey, do you want to collaborate on a project together? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I actually had him write the specifications and give me some lighting ideas for a commercial project I was doing in Elizabethtown. And he's like, oh, wow, like this is fun. And I said, yeah, Andrew, this is fun. He's like, maybe we should collaborate again. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was out west for an extended period over the summer of 2016. And Andrew and I had known each other maybe 9 months at this point. But we just understood each other deeply and would laugh, do you think about quitting architecture once a quarter? Yeah, me too. It is not for the faint of heart. So he calls me and he tells me he has terminal brain cancer, but he wants me to come into his firm and take over his role as designing all the buildings. And if it works out, be on a track for partnership with another guy at the firm. And I said, well, crap. I'm having a really great time doing what I'm doing, but I have to explore this opportunity. So I went into the firm, and everything that he kind of laid out came to fruition. So yeah, he hasn't gotten to see everything we've done because he passed away 5 or 6 years ago now. But yeah, that's how this whole thing started.
That's incredible. I mean, it's an incredible story of how quickly a connection can be made and the universe can put us in the right path with the right individuals over time.
Right. Where preparation meets luck. Yeah.
Taking the risks sounds like something that comes very natural to you, but I'm sure there was still trepidation in taking the move, or was it as clear as could be for you?
I shoot first, aim second.
Okay, so it was very clear as soon as it was asked.
I just go for it and then, figure out if this is for me or not.
Okay.
You always regret things that you don't do more than things that you do. And I'm a firm believer in basically trying everything possible at least once.
Did that move bring you back here, or were you already here in Cincinnati?
We were back here.
You were back.
We were already back. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. What have you learned from that emotional time? Because you came into the firm. I don't know if everyone knew what he was going through at that time or not, if it was all disclosed, but there's that's a lot of dynamic that you had to manage and a lot of weight to be placed on your shoulders. What did you learn from that experience?
Ooh, what did I learn? I mean, everything. I went into an organization that was thriving and going through a really emotional time. He came into the office almost until the very end.
Really?
He would come in, hang out, laugh, just be there, be around us as much as he could. And when he couldn't come in, then we would go to his house for lunch as a team. It was tough. It was tough. We had a job to do, that we had clients, and he wanted us to deliver for these clients who he had relationships with for, almost 40 years.
Wow.
And so he left knowing his firm was in good hands. And I can only imagine how much peace that brought him. I hope I get to have that kind of peace at my days end, to be like, yes, here's this thing that I have, put my entire life into, and I know it's going to be handled and taken on to the next phase. So I felt really honored to be able to give him that gift, that everybody at the firm was rallying, and we were going to take care of his baby and take care of his clients and take care of each other.
Did you ever learn what all he went through or navigated to identify who could be his successor? Like, what led up to the point of him calling you saying, I have a question for you. Would you be interested in? Do you know, has anyone ever shared?
I mean, he and I are very similar, and there was no one at the firm like us.
Had that, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're the perfect mix of all the different ways to be architects.
Okay.
So we each have our own role, and there was nobody that was like us.
Yeah. Yeah, I ask because, probably a fifth or a fourth of the times where you work on a succession plan, it's an emergency, it's imminent, and it has to happen now. And there's a state of emergency that everyone's going through that's aware of the dynamics. 3/4 of the time, 4/5 of the time, it's all proactive, right? That we're thinking about making a transition, or we've decided as a collective group versus it's an emergency. And I've had friends who have lost parents like terminal within 3 to 4 months. And we've had clients who have passed away where you get brought into an engagement of like, okay, everybody's in an emotional state. How do we navigate and honor everyone in this process? Because there's such a roller coaster of emotion. So my guess is he felt called to call you based on that relationship that you two had formed to say, this is the only person I know that could do this job.
I mean, the fate was insane.
Yeah. You said 9 months.
Yeah. And I had never hired a babysitter before to watch my kids, because normally it's my parents. That was the one and only time we ever hired a babysitter to go out. And we went to that party. I don't normally go to parties like that.
Yeah.
And I sit down. I mean, the amount of things that had to go right for me to sit down at that table are shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And there certainly has, because of all of those things that aligned, it was affirming for you that I'm going to just say yes.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And when I look back at my life path, I understand all the different challenges that I faced had led me to having the strength and the experience to be delivered this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Good story.
One of the things that I continue to be inspired by, I mentioned it earlier, around, yes, you're an architect and you have an incredible firm that's growing, that's doing amazing projects, but you also have an external brand that's inspiring people to reflect, to think, to take time. I think you and I both have fun with our entrepreneurial spirits because we know we're a little crazy, right? There's a lot going on in here. And that's what motivates us. That's who we are. That's honestly, I think it's also a part of what gravitates others to our energy, because they want to be attached to something that we never know how amazing this is going to be. And things may fail, but it's going to be a lot of fun along the journey. But what motivates you to step out to also do this aspect of reflection, to inspire your audience, your network, your relationships to think boldly and to think differently and to think creatively? What drives you? What part of Emma makes that a priority?
Oh man, I'm driven by so many things to put myself out there and put my ideas out there. If you could imagine a world where everyone was doing exactly what they were meant to do, could you imagine the joy, the peace, the amount of amazing things that would get done? But so often we hide, we fail ahead of time, we don't go after big things. And I'm just trying to be an example of what's possible. I use my courage. It's my most important skill and asset, is just go do whatever. And if I fail, I'll fail in public. But guess what? I know how to handle being embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like I can handle anything.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you, feel like others are seeking wisdom from you to learn how to do that themselves? I mean, do you ever have anyone say, hey, I follow what you do. I could never do that, but how do you do it?
No one's asked me how to do it.
Okay.
But a lot of people are like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're like really putting yourself out there and going for it. Like, what are these other routes you're kind of putting down?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really know where it's going either. But it feels good and it feels necessary to put those ideas out there to try to inspire at least just one person to go for it, whatever that thing is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do believe that even our audience, not everyone who's an audience member, but many of those, like they seek, why do they follow the Unconventional Leadership Podcast? They want to learn how to lead unconventionally. They want to hear examples of what unconventional sounds like, feels like, experiences like, because they too clearly want to work that muscle when they come back and listen to, every week's episode, or like most of us podcast. Every once in a while, I need to get a fill of that topic that I know that Mel Robbins is sharing or Jay Shetty is sharing, and I click play. It's the same thing that happens with us. So they want to learn about unconventional examples and how to take risk and how to lead better, even when the world may not want me to lead differently, right? The world just wants you to kind of get in line and move on. And we're trying to say, no, they don't. We need you to lead unconventionally, to be different, to stand out, and to help others, right? That I think what you're doing, what we're doing, it's not about us. It's about trying to inspire the world around us to think differently, right? So you're inspiring people to think differently. You're also, right, wrong, or indifferent, putting a new brand on the phrase architecture, right? I remember when we've never talked about this, I don't believe, but when I was in high school, the first career I wanted to do was be an architect.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
And then my dad got me an opportunity to intern with an architecture firm. And I sat alongside of this one guy for a few days, and then I came out of it and said, I never want to be an architect. Then I can remember the person's demeanor, and it was probably as much of the demeanor, but at a young age, you're like, well, if clearly in my little mind, every architect must be like him. And I don't want to do that. And then I decided I wanted to go into landscape architecture. And that's kind of the path that I went down education wise. But your brand, I almost think of it like a CFO. Like some people I know amazing CFOs that have personalities this big, that are creative, and I have recently a client tell me, like, what the board chair told me that the reason why this CFO is so unique and fits in so well is because everyone interacts with him all the time. He loves people, he engages with people, and he thinks about the business, and he pushes us to next levels. He asks us questions that even our board doesn't think about. And it's like just a natural thing. He doesn't feel intimidated by pushing the edge and challenging us of things that most people on the executive team would be like, well, they're the board. We're not going to throw it. They've got to be thinking that it's a family business. But that's what makes that CFO unique, right? And people gravitate to him. They love him. They are curious about what he's got going on. And therefore, they also said his team is the best team in the entire organization. Like, they're creative, they're visionary, and these are accountants that are like, he's got them thinking so differently. Okay, so you may be thinking, how do I do this? How do I lead unconventionally? How do I lead my team in a way that's unconventional? How do I build a strategy that's unconventional to elevate my organization and those around me? I want to encourage you to reach out through the link in the description and post that question. I want to learn how to lead more unconventionally. I want to help my team think unconventionally, and let's start the conversation. So thank you for joining us, and let's get back to the episode. I feel like that's what you do. You get people to think so differently than the normal, very structured, and I'm almost like an engineer, right? And I'm putting big phrases on these because, again, we work with unconventional CFOs, architects, engineers who just think differently. Have you found that rub too? Have you found people in your industry that are like, woo?
Honestly, I lose my mind over some of the things that I hear that architects do. We are honest. everybody at the firm, we will tell the hard truth.
Yeah.
We are not yes men and women. And I think clients that get it, they want that honest feedback. They don't want to be told that something is possible within their budget when it's not.
Yeah.
They don't want you to steer them down a road just because they had this idea or saw this picture in a magazine. They want you to really have the hard conversation. Like, we can't do it on this timeline. We can't do it within this budget. And I've had a lot of hard conversations with amazing clients. For us, it's capacity issues. You know, we can't do a project. Like, I will not sacrifice the quality and the responsiveness in order to get this done. And they're always so grateful. Like, thank you so much for telling me the truth in so many ways. And yeah, I mean, that's our culture. That's our MO. That's how we operate, is to be honest, be responsive, and always be fair, which I think is something really lacking in today's building industry. Like, people will overpromise and underdeliver. I'm like, let's flip it and reverse it. Let's underpromise and overdeliver at every junction.
I think, unfortunately, the conventional approach of not wanting to let someone down many times is why people say yes to things they know they can't deliver.
Sure. Yeah.
Versus, let's just be really clear, because clear is kind and all those things. But this conflict thing, people are really afraid to, like, because being honest about, we're not the firm for you because of our timelines or capacity or, you know, actually what's in our upcoming work. I'm just not going to be able to do this. It's not a good time. I appreciate the offer. Is really hard to do.
Yeah.
To turn a piece
especially
of
when you
business down.
really want to work with that client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do that because then that's what people know you for.
Yeah.
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 Do you, so share with me a little bit about, back to the reflection piece and the creating rest, which we know that doesn't necessarily come naturally, but you do things outside of work to give yourself energy. You take walks.
Absolutely.
You know, what else do you do as a leader to give yourself energy when you're feeling one of those moments?
Sure. So I think as a leader, one of my most important jobs is to show up with the same energy and same positive, optimistic outlook to work every day, day by day. I think compartmentalization is a super skill. A lot of people are like, bring your whole human self to work. And I'm like, I can't do that, or else everyone would know there's a dumpster fire at my house right now. I have 2 teenage daughters and 2 Aussies. So that's what I mean by that. So in terms of how does Emma reboot? I reboot in the woods. There's just this deep healing that happens when I'm in the forest, whether that's hiking, running, biking, mountain biking. And every single day at the end of the day, that's where I go to sort of move my body and process everything that went down in the day so that then I can be fully present with my family. I also do a lot of dancing. My daughter and I do Dance Fix. This is a shout out for Dance Fix. It is so healing to move your body in unison with other humans and just embody joy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, movement is medicine.
Has that always been, I know you referenced living in Jackson Hole. Have you always been an outdoors type where the woods created a special clarity and gave you special energy?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I will say being in the woods is where most of my amazing ideas for buildings and for the business comes from. It never comes when I'm sitting behind a desk at a computer.
Right.
It's those moments when you're walking in the woods and hopefully there's no phone with you and you're just walking and thinking about nothing. And then boop, 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 boop. So many amazing ideas just come to the surface.
Yeah, I have had a similar experience. The deeper I get into a Peloton ride, the more my ideas start like turning on. And depending on where I'm at and what my heart rate is at, and lets me know, can I take notes or not? Or hiking, being in the woods is a great spot. It also, there's a weird feeling when your brain, as an entrepreneur and a visionary, it's a weird experience when your brain shuts down and you're not thinking about anything else.
That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, they say we have 70,000 thoughts a day. Well, I've been toying around with this idea, like, what if I actually just decide to have less thoughts a day?
Can I do it? Yeah.
So between meditation, which I do every day, and if you get into a state of like working out so hard, you're breathing out your ears, you're not thinking about anything except for having that bodily experience. And I find that I crave that as, being knowledge workers and thought workers and visionaries.
Yeah, where your brain.
My tool is always with me.
Yeah.
My tool for my job is always with me. So I've started to train it at 3 a.m. when she wakes up and she's like, I've got 1,000 ideas. Let's go. I said, no. This is not super thinking time. That's from the woods. So I've started to train it. This is not super thinking time. You're not allowed to write anything down. Nothing. We're going back to sleep. Or even on walks in the woods, I say, this is not emboss time. This is Emma time. And I have to talk dirty to her sometimes.
To really compartmentalize.
I have to manage it. I have to
your...
compartmentalize, or else it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, Mike, I start designing a building in my head, and I cannot stop until all the parts and pieces and the spinning plates have congealed.
Yeah.
But that's my cross to bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being a designer.
I don't build buildings in my head, but I do a lot of business
assimilate
and org
teams
design and assimilate teams and help people think through, like, how are we going to get there? We've had, I think I've been asked this several times recently on the podcast and outside of, like, what do you really love? Like, what's some of the best, most impactful work you've done? And certainly it's relationally. It's these relationships that, like, you met each other at a certain point where we needed each other and we gave energy to each other and we helped and offered support. But it's also helping companies become billion-dollar brands. There's something about this whole suite of customers that we've worked with that, I can remember 17 years ago when they were at this stage of their, and look at them now and helping, looking at that transition period, how long it takes, how much hard work it takes, how much blood, sweat, and tears it takes. And that we've had clients who have invited us to be on that journey for this long haul. Like, you look back and go, wow, that took 13 years. 13 years is a long time. So it's just really interesting, the kind of work that we both do. And this because my guess is there's organizations who come to you who are planning about something in the future that may not happen for 6 to 8 years.
Oh, yeah. We are playing in the long game.
The long game.
With many of these organizations that we work with. And it's so cool because not only do I get to think about my business and where we want to go, we really partner with the organizations we work with and get to understand their vision for their future and what does that look like culturally and in terms of their facilities and their buildings, and then who are they going to serve, while thinking about psychology and how is AI going to change things and all these different parts and pieces that keep me very entertained because it's always evolving, it's always changing, it's always something new, and we can always make a mark.
Yeah. Where do you go to learn new things? Are there certain conferences, books, thought leaders that you follow to get your inspiration?
Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube. Like, my fun is watching design videos and leadership videos on YouTube.
Okay.
And I listen to leadership podcasts. And then I work with several coaches.
Yep.
And I used to be a prolific reader of nonfiction, but lately I've just found so much magic in fiction as a bit of an escape and a way to turn off some of the drive and visionary stuff that can just kind of make you crazy sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you when you're listening to leadership podcasts, for example, do they ever overwhelm you?
Oh yeah, I have to take breaks sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in a season of driving, right? Like, I've got a plan and we're executing, and I don't want any other inputs right now because I've got all the knowledge I need inside of me, and what this task requires is for me to listen to my own knowing and intuition because I am an unconventional leader, and I am not going to do it the way anybody else has ever done it.
Yeah.
I'm in a different time. I'm a different person. I have a different team. I have different types of clients. And I'm the kid that has to touch the hot stove.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Multiple times. If you tell me it can't be done, I won't believe you.
Yeah.
So I have to go and try it for myself. So I limit my inputs sometimes when I know like this is what I'm going to do. And I have all the knowledge I need inside of me to know how to do it.
Yeah.
If I can just hear the wisdom.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because as we're trying to grow as leaders and gain confidence and gain comfort in what we're about to do is the right way, we can create too many inputs.
100%.
We can read too many books. We can understand too many models. We can take, like at some point you got to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You got to move forward based on who you are and what you believe. There was recently a Mel Robbins episode. For some reason lately, there's been several podcasts that she's done that I'm like, I need to hear that right now.
Me too.
Right?
Me too. Yeah.
And there was one recently that was like, quit second guessing why you're the one that's been appointed to do what you're set out to do. You are the one. Own it. Know that you deserve, not with tremendous arrogance, but a little bit of confidence or overconfidence. When you're doing something that's risky, you need to be a little bit overconfident, right? And everybody's expecting, they're watching you, and those are the people who you're leading. So you need to know, I was meant to do this, right? And the phrase was, who else, if not me, is meant to do this? Like, I'm called to do this work. I'm called to be the best XYZ I can be and set tone and set leadership, and not just thinking, because thinking can get us in trouble at times.
Oh yeah.
Overthinking can, like, I feel like many visionaries would connect, like, overthinking can give you pits in your stomach, can make you like start creating and second guessing and creating questions that don't really exist. Just
analysis paralysis.
Just execute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also why execution, putting it into action, can be really hard for people.
I err on the other side of too much action.
Okay.
And I think it's really helped me because it's built my failure muscle.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's just try it and see. Let's try it and find out. Let me see if, trying to bring in this client works. Like, let's try to do this, this, and this. And the more times you fail, it's like weights in the gym. The stronger you get, the more resilient you get.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to a point now, Mike, where every time something really challenging or difficult has gone down, probably within a couple hours, I can say, thank you. You just made me that much stronger and gave me that much more confidence.
That's awesome. So you're using that as additional fuel.
Oh, yeah.
And energy.
Yeah.
Was there a point in your career where that wasn't the case, where it kind of weighted you down with all the decisions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. Like little 29-year-old decided I was going to start my own firm. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Right. But I was naive enough to try it. And I think back about some of the things I did either with contracts or negotiating that make me cringe now, but I had to do it and learn the lesson. I had to touch the hot stove.
Yeah.
And every failure has just built that much more resilience. And I think so many people now feel like they have to be perfect. And as an entrepreneur, we fail in public. People are going to see me fall flat on my face.
Right.
But I'm going to get up and do it again and again and again. And I think the more times you show your body and your nervous system that you can fail and still be a part of the tribe, right? Like this biological wiring that we have to be accepted and loved and protected in the group. Like you can still fail and still be a part of that. And so it's like our cavemen part of us needs to sort of be soothed in a way. And it gets soothed by showing it. I failed all these times and gained all this strength, and I was still safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you just ended, because I had a comment. You could clearly see it. I started moving before you were finished, but you finished with, and I feel safe. There was one of my coaches and mentors shared with me, like, we're all born into the world, identifying immediately when we're born, our surrounding, and whatever surrounding you're born into, whatever country, whatever economic status, that is your safety net. Like, that's the known, right? And as we grow up, everything that you hear and learn as you're growing up creates this weird safety emotion that we carry with us. So, it comes into how we speak to each other, how we think, the risk we're willing to take. You said you came from a long line of entrepreneurs. When you said that, I was like, literally, I'm sitting here and I'm going, some of the things I do don't make sense to my existing family. But neither did the stuff my grandpa did.
Sure.
My grandpa would go down and wheel and deal and buy house. He would always say, like, hey, I bought 3 houses. I sold 2 before I ever walked off the courthouse steps. And he was like, and I made money. And then I just buy, like, that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. The things that he would do, he would work all day. He drove a truck for it's called CF Freight Lines. But really where he began to work was once he clocked out of his day job. Like, he never stopped. He had, and it was almost like chaotic. There was so much going on. And he was always one of those who would say, like, another man's trash is my treasure. Like, he would buy and sell. We have this beautiful dining room table in our family that's a family heirloom. We have pictures from when he pulled it out of someone's garbage. And I don't even think part of what now today is the dining room table even existed. He built it. He had friends build, and it's this gorgeous piece that's like, it's a family heirloom. But that's a great example of it. Was literally in the trash and had none of the chairs that are with it that go with this set even existed. He found those in probably somebody else's trash, right? And built that. So this entrepreneurial, outside your comfort zone, most people would just drive by, and he was like, I could do something with that, right? So,
well, when you train your brain to look for opportunity, that's all you see is opportunities everywhere. I think a lot of people, especially I would say women, it's really easy to look at all the roadblocks and all the challenges and all the way that things aren't fair or equal. But if you just look for the opportunities, that's what you're going to see. And I see opportunities everywhere. I did want to touch on one thing that at some point when you were talking there, I've realized that my organization and the business can only evolve as much as I am willing to evolve. It can only grow and change as much as I am willing to grow and change. And luckily for me, continual evolvement, if that's a word, is one of my values. I always want to be growing and learning. And I find, like, you probably are like this too. When you're static, you get a little bored. And when you get bored, you start to meddle in things and you break things that are working in your business. And so I think entrepreneurial maturity for me is to let something that's working keep working and try to go get my dopamine hit elsewhere.
Don't disrupt this because
this is working. I need to get my dopamine, not for my business. Because like, as you're growing a business, the dopamine is like, pew, 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 pew. Like, we did that and we did that and we did that. And then you have to be very careful not to blow up something that is working beautifully. So that's why I dance. That is why I ride mountain bikes. And that is why I, zip line and do other things to get my dopamine elsewhere and not from the business anymore.
Awesome. That's a great insight. What are you most excited about over the next 2 to 4 years? Do you have what big vision are you casting or challenge are you placing in front of yourself?
Yeah. Well, again, I am always growing and evolving. And for my next trick, I'm looking to learn, how do I grow leaders within my organization, right? I think like every entrepreneur at different revenue markers goes through a different type of business structure, right? Where I'm not the one really delivering anymore. Like, I've set the culture and the tone and the expectations of how we deliver projects. And now I'm looking for more, like, how can we make more of a mark? How can we do even more fun design and partner with more organizations? So we're looking at growth. I never want to be a huge firm. I think there's a real beauty to the boutique nature of our firm right now. And there's this tactile quality that you can just sense and smell when you come into the business. And I don't ever want to lose that. But probably double the size of the team and hopefully double the impact that we make with more community partners. And just keep making more buildings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How do you define unconventional leadership. What does unconventional leadership mean to you?
Unconventional leadership. I didn't define myself as that until you invited me on this podcast. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm not very conventional. I think at the heart of it is really understanding the human aspect of every touch point in your business, right? Like really understanding the human nature of your team, understanding the human nature of our engineer partners and of our clients, and bringing that humanness into the business in a way that supports the individual and how they might want to spend their waking hours in their life, and they want to spend those waking hours making a mark and making as big of an impact as you can. And it's my job to create the ecosystem for that to happen. It's sort of like parenting teenagers. Like, I'm not making decisions for them anymore. I'm a consultant, but I can create the ecosystem where they can make hopefully the best decisions they can for themselves. So as an unconventional leader, I really try to give everyone on my team the opportunity to let their skills shine, let them take the props, let them take ownership. And what that does for our clients is you've got a team member that really wants to deliver for this client because they understand the impact that they're making. And so a lot of people don't let their teammates have direct contact with their clients, but that's not how I roll. I'm not scared.
Yeah. It's interesting when we define our client gets a team, not an individual.
Yeah.
Right, is what I just heard you share. Yeah. So which means in your industry, it's probably similar to us. There's a lot of people in our industry that it's like it's theirs. And I'm going to manage everything. And it's like, no, we actually say we're quite the opposite. When you work with us, you have a whole team of support, and a whole team's going to show up on calls and meetings and conversations because we work as a team. Exactly. And that's empowering to our team too, to say, wow, I get all this exposure to all of these conversations that think about if you didn't expose them to those conversations, what they're missing. How can they deliver with excellence if they're not hearing directly from the clients that you're working with?
Exactly.
Love that.
Exactly.
So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was an honor.
And thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. I want to thank the Cincinnati Podcast Studio for all that they do to bring this creative genius to you each and every day. Please add some thoughts and comments into the comments below. Click on some of the links in the show notes. Let's continue to also help you and others. Make sure you don't miss an episode by hitting subscribe. We look forward to our next conversation.